You got it, buddy. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Reflections on the 12 Steps. This is just a friendly announcement. This is not an AA meeting. This is just one member's view on the exact nature of the wrong as described on page 64 of the Big Book and the solutions contained within. This is not an all-share meeting, those shares there will be, but actually a question and answer meeting with Paul. And they selected a reading, Paul, from the Big Book on
Yep.
page 83. At the bottom paragraph in the forward to the fourth edition anyway, and it's very familiar reading. It says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. And with that, Paul, turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, John, and welcome everyone. If you're new here, let us know, because then I will state uh, the fundamental basis of the platform of these meetings. So I'll do it quickly. If you have a book, go to page 64. Could be now, could be later. I think it's the third paragraph, second sentence. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. So just sit with that. Uh, if we're convinced of this, we will now look at its, meaning self's, common manifestations in our life. Resentment is the next paragraph. If you just follow the logic, resentment is a manifestation of self in one's life. Why are you calling them yours? Simple question. If something is not yours and you're calling it yours, that would be seen as a mistake, yes? What would happen if that mistake got unnoticed? That mistake would duplicate itself with everything else, and we'll end up in that observation of many people in recovery, which is self can't get out of self. We're going to end up there because knowing it or not knowing it, what we're listening to, the head, is in the active identification as being a self. And what that means, the way we're seeing it, is it's pictured as a body, but it's seen as you're the doer of a lot of stuff you're not the doer of. You're the seer of everything, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. Yet you're not the digester, are you? As an active act. You're not the active pumping of the blood or the beating of the heart, no. But all these other things we seem to own, and then that allows them to own us. So, yeah, how do you get bound to the past? By being the doer of something that you feel very probably uncomfortable about doing now. Yes, obviously. If you weren't the doer, if you were just, or whatever happened, and it wasn't specifically you doing it, it would have been forgotten in that massive stream of doing. Yeah. And you wouldn't have to have a promise that produces you'll lose interest in the past or whatever it says. Yeah. We will not regret the past. How are you going to not regret the past as the doer of the past? Where logically you can't make any sense or get any relief from looking at it as the doer. I'll use a simple example. When I was out there, I had gotten run over by a car and severely damaged. And my family, and therefore me, thought I was going to get this giant payoff. Yes. So when I would be trying to get drugs when I had no money, I would say, listen, I'll pay you when this thing happens. Yeah. It was like, and while I was laying that bullshit out, I had to make it seem a little better for me. And I said to myself, I'm going to give my mother money when I get this thing. Yeah. Because my mother was poor and everything else. All right. So this went on for years. Then I got the money, very little. And then they wouldn't give me the whole money knowing what I was. They would only give me a check, and I'd have to, sometimes I couldn't get the check because I couldn't sign it because I was so stoned. My hand, I couldn't legibly write my name, whatever. So I get this money and I buy a half a pound of Coke, I think, something like that. Maybe a quarter, like 4 or 6 ounces or 8 ounces of Coke. I think they were about 2,000 an ounce or something. I got a deal. So, and there I am with my little cohort. And of course, I can't drive. So they're driving me, and we're going out to the end of Long Island into this summer resort area called the Hamptons. And we're going to sell the Coke there and stuff. And so I'm sitting in this passenger seat and we're driving by, and I'm starting to feel a little uncomfortable because we're getting near the exit where my mother's senior citizen place was. Yeah. And of course, I had promised I was going to give her money, and I was in the act of breaking that promise. So there I was sitting there, and I drove by, didn't tell the guy to turn right or anything, and that was it. She never saw any of the money. I spent it all on drugs. Now, you're going to tell me if I start and end as the doer of that, where am I going to get fucking relief? Yeah, maybe when I make the amends way later. Yeah, but how am I going to see when I look in the past no regret concerning the behavior I exhibited while under the influence? How it worked with me, I saw I wasn't the doer of that shit. Yes, I had all the intention in the world to give my mother money, but something overrode it. Like it's something that overrode a lot of shit. Yeah. And I was sort of at that point powerless to take any other direction than its. This is how you can look at the past and not fucking regret it. How are you going to look at the past and not regret it as the doer of the past? Tell me. If you had any upbringing, I had an Irish grandmother who took me up. A lot of sins were in my behaviors that I was doing while under the influence. A lot of them. Yes. And it was going to be a lot of novenas and a lot of confessions to get a little bit of relief. But it says here, we will not regret the past. Maybe because we didn't do the shit that happened. We were driven. We were used. Yeah. This is how it worked with me. I don't see how people living under the banner that they're the doer of whatever happened through them could ever get regret. Maybe they try to do that by being of service for years over and over. Maybe they're trying to, by getting enough credit, it will override the debit, but I don't see it. Yeah, I see people still held by the past based on regret of what they did while they were under the influence of something stronger than them. Yeah. So you tell me if being the doer of all that shit, because there's no way, there's no amount of amends that could cover the disregard I showed my mother. There's no fucking way. I would have had to have been working for hours, years. Yeah. And you know what the head does. It hides regrets like a squirrel hides a nut. Yeah. And it burrows it in there. And at some opportune moment, it's inopportune for you, but for the head, it brings up that fucking nut and says, that was a terrible thing you didn't do for your mother. Seriously, give me a break. And then after that, would shoot coke, basically, to try to forget it. So you tell me your plan, completely rooted in being the doer of how to live without regret concerning the past. You give it to me. I'll probably have to be an 8,000-page thesis. We're giving a simple solution. You were not the doer of it. Yeah. Now, you've made your amends. You did the work, so you're not skirting the responsibility of your role in things, but you're now having an eye open to see something else's role in things, that which has defeated us. You know how many times that story and not fulfilling it by not giving my mother money, now how many times self-defeated me with that? How many times? A lot of fucking times. A lot of beating. It had its certain favorite paddles that would bring out and just whack me. And there was my hands were already ready to be cuffed. In my little mental logic, I could not see how I wasn't completely a fuck up. Yeah. To the point that you may end up hating yourself, which is an insane freaking condition. Yeah. So I humbly believe the platform is simple. After you've done how you were probably directed to do an inventory and looking at your resentments, your fears, harms done to others. That's probably done. You're already here with the people that are here. They did that already. Let's just do a little one and get an example of how it feels when you see a resentment as a resentment, not yours. Just tell me. Tell me one seems to be lighter than the other. Yeah. Fear. First of all, I would make one huge distinction. Most of the fear we're in today is mental anxiety. It's induced by mental anxiety. Yeah. So maybe get clear on that definition, or try to get clear what actually fear is and what it ain't. Yeah. Fear is an emotion that in life usually gets triggered when there's an apparent threat. Fear that we're under is we're acting as if there's a real threat when there isn't one. Yeah, that's not fear. That's fear being played by mental anxiety. It'd be good to have an understanding, yes? Because if you're going to be in this program, you're going to be used to pass this message on. Why not have some fucking clarity about what we pass on? Yeah. Oh, you can be okay, but you're ultimately fucked still. I'm not into that. Just not into that whole story. Yeah. We pledge allegiance to the problem quite a lot. We share this glorious light came into my life, but don't worry, I'm still fucked. Yes. I'm just not into it. I mean, seriously. I don't want to be the mayor of the insane asylum. I want to be out of the insane asylum. I, I just don't want to be an elected person in the insane asylum. Oh, he's super clear, but he's still fucking in the insane asylum. That to me isn't super clear. Yeah. Being super clear about the insane asylum would hopefully lead you to leave the insane asylum. Yeah, yeah, whatever. So we've got this little itch, and we just itch it every week. And with the hopes that if you see the word my, it's used so insignificantly, but it means a whole lot. If you see a lot of the heaviest things in your life are preceded by the word my problem, my this, my that, my cancer, my what, my, yes? Aren't you curious to see why is that word so powerful without us knowing its power? Yeah. Do you believe in English that self and us are the same thing? When you hear self and you hear us, oh, self is just the collectiveness of us, or the singularity of us. When I hear it, it seems like they're two different things. Yeah. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated, wait for it, us. I feel we're in the us camp, And we've always been in the us camp. Yeah. And this idea of being something other than us, called self, is what allows a defeat to occur. Drinking or not drinking. Yeah. So that's that. And so here, this is the promises that come around the ninth step. Yes. So they're talking about these are going to start appearing in your life when you're at this point of the process. Yeah. And basically, all these uniquely different alcoholics have had the same similar effects that they describe here. Should tell you something about. That's why this is so intimate. It's captured me. Yeah, this was written in 35 to 39, 1939. Yeah. It captures an alcoholic. It doesn't capture you. It captures an alcoholic. Yeah. And we're not an alcoholic. Alcoholism has us. Yes. We've been taken over by alcoholism. That doesn't make us an alcoholic for the rest of your life. Yeah. It makes you've suffered from something. Are you a cancer person the rest of your life because you had cancer or cancer had you? Yeah. Now the potentiality is for the cancer to come back, and the potentiality is for the alcoholism to take over. But for all intents and purposes, the problem doesn't exist right now for many of us, yeah, for today. A lot of other problems may be existing, but the problem doesn't exist, and that was the target of recovery, and it's hit the target quite well, yeah? Many of us have been brought back to sanity concerning the insanity that preceded the first drink. Yeah. And if you don't have the first drink, you don't have to have fucking skillful means of how to stop at the 10th drink. If you don't have the first drink, which this whole point here is, this is not about stopping. It's about not starting. That's the whole point. Yeah. We don't start drinking. And we don't need to have master plans, how we can hide it, how I can do it at work. None of that shit, it becomes at anywhere at all important. Like it says early in the book, it's academic. If you didn't drink, all this information would be academic, yeah? Because you wouldn't need it, in other words. So this is the platform here. And here we are at the promises concerning the ninth step, which is one of the these are the promises most people are aware of. There's promises all throughout the book, yes, but this is the big one. This is like the big package. This is like the severance pay. This is like your pension. This is like your bonus. This is it. This is like your Social Security check. This is it. Yeah. And that is, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, doing the ninth step, yes? Making the amends. And amend, learn what amend doesn't mean saying you're sorry, as we know, yeah? It means you make a proclamation that if at all possible, you're not going to do what you did to these people to anyone else or to them again, yes? So you make an amend, and if it needs to be, you got to give them money or something, whatever it is, you just make it right. And it doesn't matter if they see it as right. Yeah. They may have a terrible reaction to the amend, but the job isn't to manage their reaction. It's just to make the amends. Yeah. So here, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. Aren't you? Weren't you? I'm amazed all the way through now. I am amazed that the room, whatever atmospheric room I'm in, the elephant's not there. There's no smell of the elephant. There's no tracks of the elephant. There's no shits from the elephant. The atmosphere is free from the elephant. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's amazing to me. Yeah. We will be amazed before we are halfway through, and probably amazed all the way through after that. Yeah. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. Wow. How would you know a new freedom and a happiness? You would feel different. And this way you feel would be given a different definition of freedom and happiness. Yeah. The freedom, I get to do whatever I want. No, that may be not freedom the way this is presented. Yeah. So we're going to have a new freedom and a new happiness. We're going to observe that. We're going to find out. It's we don't know it and then find out. We find out and then we know it. Yeah. So we get brought to a condition. We observe it. We see the expressions are different. And then now we know that something has happened because at first something happened. We got changed. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Amelia's cooking onions. I'm starting to cry. I'm not feeling the deep remorse of all that I did in the past. It's onions. Yeah, just to be clear. My eyes are hurting. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. Hey, honey, can you get me a cloth with water? My eyes are flipping out. Yeah, getting. I can't read. I can't read the book with it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We will not regret the past, nor shut the door on it. Didn't we try to keep the door of the past shut when we're getting loaded? Wasn't the key to that door called denial? Did you go, you were dragged into the past by the head every day. Most of your day was to try to avoid returning there. Yeah. Because you knew there would be regret. Yeah. Who wants to feel powerless every day? Yeah. So we wanted to keep the door shut. Yeah. I didn't go look for someone I owed amends. I'd move out of the state where they live if I lived there. Yeah. I don't think this was Paul's program. I think it's what it's like being taken over. You avoid shit at all costs. Yeah. I don't want to be brought up and go across the coals because I do believe I was the doer of it all, and I don't want to hear about what I did. Where is there going to be relief from that? To me, it was getting loaded. Yeah. My idea of dealing with the past, the old shit of the past, was to make new shit every day. So I could never get back to the old shit. I had so much shit going on, I couldn't look at all the shit I was afraid to look at. Yeah. So we will not regret the past. I humbly believe how that is easily recognized if you were not the doer of that shit. Yes? You're held accountable. You make your amends, but you don't walk around carrying it for 40 years. Yeah. And you don't, and at that point, then you don't need to shut the door on the past. Yeah. So you let the circulation occur. And maybe the past can have great value, as it says. You'll realize no matter how far you've gone down, it's going to be used. Yeah. Your past that you wanted to shut the door on has quite a lot of value in sharing with other people. Yeah. With a new attitude and a new outlook. Yeah. And one of the attitudes I have and outlook is what I did under the influence was mostly based on the influence. Yeah. And I'm going to hold that accountable and not live a life of being responsible for it. I am. I'm going to hold what has defeated me accountable for all the shit I did while being defeated. I will. I'm not going to call it. I've done the amends. I sat up and I confronted people. That's over. Yeah. You're not going to tell me I've done all this shit. I really feel that we're driven and we're given two possibilities. The old possibility, we were driven by self, by having trust in it. Now we will be driven by the infinite, by having trust in the infinite. Yeah, I would say we are more trust and faith than we are the doer of things. Yeah, we had faith in the head and we were used for it to do a lot of shit through us. Yeah. And what I did while under the influence looks a lot like what you did while under the influence. So your uniqueness was overridden by what drove you, and my seeming uniqueness was driven by what drove me, because it was the same fucking thing called alcoholism. Why can't we see that? It's so obvious. Yeah. So we will not regret the past. I don't really, nor wish to shut the door on it. When my head wants to regret me getting run over, what brought me to being under that car's tire was using. I was loaded. The night should have been over. It's fucking freezing, January 30th, Long Island. Nothing going on. I had been at the bar already that was empty when I was there, that I believed had suddenly filled up with Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. Yeah. And I was driven by this thing, and I met a Chevy Monte Carlo, which was the last thing I wanted to meet. I met it twice. It ran me over and then it backed up over me. Yeah. So when I start going into the idea of regret, hey, bro, I'm accountable. It doesn't go anywhere. So we will comprehend the word serenity. How can you do that unless you have serenity? Yeah. How can you comprehend the word serenity unless you've had serenity or have serenity? Yeah. That's called a new freedom and a new happiness. Yeah. And we will have peace and we will know peace. Wow. Incredible. So we actually have the ability to enjoy peace of mind. And now we will know that. Yeah. Yeah. We will know that things that were completely blocked in us are possible. Yes. The seemingly hopeless state of mind and body was just that. It wasn't a hopeless state of mind and body. It was appearing to me to be hopeless, but it isn't hopeless. Yeah. There is a solution. That's cool, man. I like that. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. We won't hope that our experience, but we will see it. We'll see, we'll be used in AA, and AA delivers the goods. This isn't like IKEA. It says it's a dresser, but you have to build it. No, you get built. You're like a piece of the building. You're not the one who's building. You're being rebuilt. Yes. And old possibilities that were completely cut off to us are now available. Enjoying peace of mind, seeing I can contribute to life, I have value, all this shit. Yeah. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Remember that thing where it says abject faith in the head? And the lady shared what the abject meant, which is spiritless servility. This captures that. Yeah. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. So the spiritless civility, yeah, we will outgrow. because now our faith will not be in that which has defeated us, but will be in the higher power. Yeah. That's incredible, eh? The feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. It doesn't say, oh, you're going to be able to mask it better. You're going to be able to avoid it better. You're going to be able to distract yourself. No, it's going to disappear. That's a solution. Huh? Yeah. We will lose interest in selfish things. You and me. What we could actually be represented as a selfish thing. We have a basic system which is self-centered, and we see everything as how it pertains to us. That's a selfish thing. Yeah. So we're going to lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Isn't that how it works? Just day by day, as you may not even notice, there's a modicum or a large amount of loss of interest in self. And then as you not notice that, you're noticing other things. Like I feel okay in my own skin. Remember that feeling of being uncomfortable in your own skin? Yeah. I'm just getting uncomfortable being in old skin. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Do you think that's the end of the change? Aren't we in a constant movement of change? And what would you call growth? Directed change. And what does the way of life of recovery do? Directs the changes of our life. Yeah. So it has wisdom. So the direction produces a growth. You grow in the condition of this new freedom and happiness. You grow into the condition of feeling gratitude. You grow more and more. Yeah. Self-seeking will slip away. Wow, that's incredible. Everyone would thought it was you were gonna watch it in like a square, and they were gonna finally self would, be whipped or something. No, it'll be slipped away. You're gonna lose interest in it. Yeah. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. Well, everyone knows a lot of people believe, the economic insecurity will be replaced by money. It may not be. It'll be replaced by an assurance that you're going to be taken care of. Yep. Going back to the contract you signed on page 63, I think, which is you have a new employer. Being all powerful is going to take care of you with only two requirements. One is already fulfilled. You can't be far from it. It's everywhere. And the other is the performance works well. So you've signed that deal, and now you can expect realistically that you're going to be taken care of. Now, it may not be the way you think you should be taken care of, but you'll notice begrudgingly maybe that you've been taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. And if you haven't been taken care of, it's going to lead you to be taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. Fear of people, how to handle, fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Not bad, eh? We will suddenly realize, I just had that. I just suddenly realized. Couldn't you see being realized maybe a suddenly realized every second? You're suddenly realizing you're realized. So there's something that's been realized, and the feeling of it is you're suddenly realizing it. Because why? It's present. It's now. Yes. You don't have yesterday's realization. There's a realized now. And how does it feel when you realize? Sudden. It feels like it's sudden because it's not something that happened in the past or the future. It's right now. Yeah. It has that sense of pulse or aliveness. Fear of people and of economic security will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Yeah. I think that was the second step. Yeah. You realized that something was struck you sober and was keeping you sober, and that no human power could have produced that effect because it hadn't in your life. Yeah. So to me, the whole theme of this life has been recognizing, realizing that something is doing for me what I can't do for myself, and then just expand on what I can't do for myself. Literally. It's like being a bum in a certain way. Yeah. Not the way we think of bums, but being a bum in a certain way. You've realized that you're not managerial quality, and you keep your nose out of your own life quite a lot. And then life seems to take care of you. So I'm going to say that one again because it's so powerful. We will suddenly realize, there it was again. I just got it again. Wow. Yeah. I just suddenly realized that I'm in good hands. Wow. That's a very nice feeling. I was concerned about noon today. I was concerned about noon at 11:05. Now I'm not concerned about noon, and I feel okay right now. All right, then it goes, no, I'm going to say it again. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always suddenly. They will they will always materialize if we work for them. Yeah. Again, they slip that idea you're going to lose interest in self. It's the pivot, really. Yeah. The bondage of self is interest. Yeah. You're bound by your own interest when it's in self. Yeah. You're freed from that bondage when your interest is in something else, let's say life or whatever. Yeah. But when there's a lot of interest in self, that is the bonding mechanism. Yeah. You're listening so you can easily follow. When you're hearing, you're not following. You're hearing something. When you're listening, the next step can easily fall into following it. Yeah. And if you're listening to it with abject faith, either spiritless servility, that is the bondage of self. Yes. You're being directed and driven and led, and your condition while that's happening is spiritless servility. Isn't that insane? You are now in a condition of spiritless servility, which is the bondage of self. And what is the bondage of self? Faith in self. Yeah. Faith that it exists, faith that it's you, faith that it can get better while it can't, faith like it's going to be the first snake that ever didn't bite its new owner. Nope. As if you're going to change the nature of a parasitical movement and make it your buddy, your amigo, your service animal, your companion. Yeah. If you believe it's part of you, it believes it's all of you. Just be clear about that. So when people say, oh, it's just a part of me. Yeah, but that part of you in the head believes it's all of you. What? Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I wouldn't sit down trying to convince it otherwise. Just recognize it. Yeah. It's not you. And that's the gloriness of this solution. What has defeated you is not you. Yeah. You want to call it a disease, a satanic, possession, a parasitical movement, but just picture it as other than you, and then the possibility of being free from it will become available. Our possibility of being free from it has been handcuffed by identification as it. So we have been trying to be free as that which has defeated us. Yeah, which is a defeat, don't you see? Trying to be free as that which has defeated us is a huge defeat. Yeah. So it's lovely, isn't it? I mean, these people were sharing their experience with this transformation, and it fits exactly the same thing with us. Yeah, it's such a intimate expression, this book. Yeah, because it's not talking about our unique character. It's talking about a singularity of defeat of a multiplicity. Yeah. And part of the defeat of the multiplicity is each one thinks they're unique, even though they're getting defeated the same way, being driven the same way, being led the same way. They'll fucking argue with you for hours about how unique their situation is. Yeah. Even when they call you, you'll know who you're talking to. Usually it's spiritless civility you hear on the phone. It is. I have talked to a lot of people, and most of the time I didn't talk to a person. I talked to spiritless civility. Yeah. They were just trying to get out of a situation to go back in it again. Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, there's a solution. Yeah. We humbly just are attempting to point out something that I think is profoundly overlooked in our community. And personally, I'm tired of it. And however you want to see it's fine, but you can make room for another way of seeing it. Maybe it will be available to help other people in a way that they're not being helped the other way. Yes. I don't see how you're going to get. I think you'd have to try to be so good, like an angel or a saint right now, to not regret the past. You'd have to do the opposite of what you thought you did then. You'd have to be super good instead of super bad. That's bondage to me. Yeah. I known people who were perfect in AA. They had more tons of sponsees, circuit speakers. They had a nervous fucking breakdown. They weren't taking care of the underlying condition. Yeah. So I'm not going to tip the scale by being super good, because that nugget, like a squirrel with the nut, is going to bring it up, and it'll have me again. Yes. I'll be hearing the echoes of the past when I'm 40 years away from it. That's insane. Yeah, it's insane. Why are we tolerating it? Why are we putting up with it? It's unnecessary. Just make your amends, take responsibility, and then see something else's role in things, which is self. Tell the truth about that. Yeah. And then you will look at the past and not regret it. You'll actually realize it was completely necessary to be convinced otherwise. So I didn't die, and my ass kicking, every kick was completely necessary, obviously, for me to be convinced. Now that I'm convinced, let the kicking stop. I don't want to go back, past kicking and pray to. I don't want to honor it. Yeah. If you see the word driven, it means you're not the driver. Self-imposed calamities aren't calamities you imposed on you. Self imposed them on you. Something foreign to you imposed a calamity on you by thinking it was you. And the thinking is about us being it. The thinking is completely infected with alcoholism. The problem resides in the head, and the thinking is at this point reinforcing the bondage of self, not bringing us to a liberation from it. Yeah. So check it out. Look at yourself. Do you think it's actually working? Can you do a fearless, thorough inventory on you? No, you can't. That's why they try to present it as a business inventory. Yeah. Because your head wants to hide a lot of shit. It's just that simple. Yeah. It will do a fearless inventory on someone else. It's not going to do one on itself. And it's not going to be thorough. It ain't. Yeah. You're going to miss the biggest thing. What has defeated you? It's going to have you take the fall for every fucking crime. Can you imagine you're in prison and your roommate is a car? Because that car was used to drive to the bank and they robbed the bank and the car went to prison. That would be fucking hilarious, right? It wouldn't be hilarious. It would be weird. Why are you in here for? Bank robberies. Did you do it? No. I just they drove me to the bank. I'm something that can be driven. How can I be responsible for the driver? Yeah. My ability is to be driven. Your ability is to be driven. Sometimes you're driven by love, sometimes by hate, sometimes by lust, sometimes by aversion, sometimes this. You're being driven constantly. Yeah. Where did we come up that we're the driver? Oh, all right. Yeah. I am such a this hit me around, I think I was 29, 6 years sober, 7 years sober. So I'm 36 years sober now. This idea has never changed in those 29 years. All the more stuff that was revealed, nothing's changed this. I feel quite a solidness about it. Nothing has changed it. It wasn't altered. It wasn't synthesized. It wasn't hybrided. It's just an invitation that that which has defeated you is not of you. That's all. Simple as that. Yeah. If you feel like you'll go completely crazy and irresponsible if you don't take responsibility, do the inventory as you're the doer of it. But go back and check it out, because what you did, a lot of people did the same shit. Yeah, a lot of people had the same thoughts. A lot of people were driven by the same feelings. How could they be yours? Yeah. So if you see a lot of people who think they're all unique end up at the same 3 parking spaces, that uniqueness is a mistake. It's a misunderstanding. Yeah. Something overrode your uniqueness and drove you to the same place everyone else who felt super unique got driven to: institution, jails, and death. That should tell you something. Yeah, there's a very big message in that. So there you go. Whatever topic we have, we're going to always try to bring it back to what we were presenting, because this is what I felt I didn't hear in a thriving community of recovery in San Francisco. Yeah, and I think it's about time. Yeah. Well, I've been thinking that for 29 years. It was about time that someone say something about it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here we are. If you have any questions, you can ask. If not, do a simple reading. Yeah, page 64. If you have English comprehension, us and self are not the same word. They don't mean the same thing. Us in that sentence is the defeated, self is the defeater. Quite different, yeah? In this sense, it takes two things to have a defeater and defeated. We believe there's only one thing, us, but there's two things, self and us. Yeah. If you don't see that, you're going to hate yourself and you're going to think you defeated you. Obviously, you have to. For there can't be the defeater and the defeated can't be the same thing. So the self is the defeater and us is the defeated. If you see self as you're going to live a life thinking you defeated yourself. That's a bad fucking that is not a new attitude or a new outlook. That's a super old attitude and old outlook. Yeah. To some people, they really honestly believe they hate themselves, which is incredible. Can you imagine starting your day as the starting point? Fucking Jesus Christ. I hate myself. No, something may hate you, but it's not you. Yeah. Isn't that a liberating idea? I feel it is. Yeah. So it isn't about stop hating yourself. That will produce more hate because you won't be able to stop hating yourself because it's not you hating yourself. Try to stop hating yourself. Try. I'm going to be good. And then you eat too much and then you're bad and you hate yourself again. I'm going to let myself have that piece of cake, but not 3 pieces. It's just insane. It's like enslaved to an old idea. Yeah. Yeah. So I know it's weird that you may not be the doer of everything that has happened through you. It's weird. We've been trained to believe this our whole life. Yeah. The sense of being the doer has been passed on to us. Yeah. And it's just taken for granted as if you don't feel much different when you have a flu. Yeah. Doesn't life look bleaker when you're sick? And maybe a little short-tempered when you're sick. You don't have as much toleration. Yeah, you get a little upset easier or like that. Oh, was that you? Was that the influence of you on you, or was it the flu on you? Yeah. Just because we've had a flu for 50 years, 60 years, doesn't mean it's not a flu. Yeah. It doesn't. We think it should only last, but this one's lasted a while. Yeah. So, well, I don't see how you're not going to regret the past if you think you were the doer of it all. I just don't see how it's going to work. I don't think you can do enough mea culpas to sort of, I just have to be doing novenas every day, every weekday at church. You can't, it doesn't work, I feel. But if I wasn't a doer of it and I've made all my amends, uh, I'm not the one who's going to regret it. Yeah. Because I'm not the one who did it. Yeah. I regret I had alcoholism or addiction, but you're not going to pin me for the crime of what happened while I was under the influence. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and look at your head. Look at the judicial system of your head. Do you have a statute of limitations? Does your head doesn't it have nuggets of 38 years ago or fucking like that? It keeps polishing every once in a while. Don't forget you were convicted of that 38 yes. No, 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 no. There's no peace for you. That's called bondage of self. One of the biggest bondages to the past. How are we bound to the past? We're trying to fucking shut the door on it and forget it because we can't handle that we did that shit. Yeah. It's unforgivable. So you spend your whole life trying to forgive everyone else, but you live in an unforgivable state. Yeah. That's why saints blow up and they become perverse characters at times. Yeah. You try to be so good, it's got to blow. So I swear I've made amends, all the amends I could. I wasn't that important to fly to Europe if I had a one night stand with some lady. I just looked at all the one night stands as, there was one pattern in all of them. I didn't have to go to Amsterdam and find someone. It wasn't that important. But I did all that stuff. I did. Yeah. And then I saw something else is rolling things when I looked at the fourth column, and I call it self. Yeah. And I believe self has left the biggest marks in our lives without us knowing it. Yeah. It's like, the criminal has a size 12 shoe, and we see the evidence and we only have a size 7, but we still take the rap. It's just insane. Yeah. We don't even fit the crime. Yeah. Whatever. So it may not seem much, but if you had the relief from it, you would know how valuable it is. If you had the relief from not regretting the past, you would see an incredible value in it. Incredible value. It's like a large amount of your atmosphere right now has been vacuum packed into this past. It's not circulating, it's not doing anything. And then that gets freed, and it's like an oomph in your life. You feel alive, yes? Your hand is on the pulse. You're alive. Yes. So don't you see, in a way, the bondage of self is like a deadening of our life? Yeah. So, yep. All right. If anyone, no other question, I'll I'm going to start saying goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for sitting here with us. And I think if you look at this and you match it to your own experience, it's going to be a fit. Yeah. It's not like you need to change any experiences. This is just another pair of glasses to see the emphasis of what you look at differently. That's all it is. And maybe it'll produce an ease and comfort that you've been missing. Yeah. So check it out. If you want, do a small little inventory, just write down resentment as a manifestation of self and not call it yours, and just see the difference. And then maybe recognize the fear that you think you're in is really triggered by mental anxiety. And maybe that's going to open something up. And then see the emphasis that's given to everything that comes after it by the word my, M-Y. It changes everything. I would wish all of you to have a lot of money, but I don't want you to have any of my money. Yeah. My changes a lot, everything. And this my, it's being wielded by the head to keep us enslaved with a lot of ideas. So, yep. Okay, well, we got John in Florida. Thanks, John. Lovely meeting today. Michael Stacy, as always. We'll be here later, too. Just get a couple of breaths of air and then back on it. No, at 4:30 Pacific time, which we talk about really what could and has the ability to illuminate whatever path you're on. So if you're on the path of recovery, non-duality is quite an illuminating factor. It can bring a lot of light to that situation. So that's today. So Michael Stacy, as always, thank you so much. Kathleen in Pennsylvania, thank you. And thank Martin. We had a problem with the Zoom, and he just took care of it. And really, hats off. We would have probably been down for a couple of weeks later. Everyone who's done this, they don't get paid. It's just service. So many people have gone so much out of their way to allow this platform to continue. I don't think it's because I'm such a nice person. They value the message, and so do I greatly. Yeah. And it's wonderful to have a platform where we don't have a lot of intruding shit coming in to dilute it, and we can just keep presenting it over the years so that this can become a new basis in our way of life. Yeah. The recognition of a parasitical movement and not calling it you. Yeah. So, Stephen Mack, nice to see you. Kathy L. in Cleveland, she's just decided to do some service for us, with us. Thank you. We got Maria, and we got another. So let's say, nice to see you. Maro, as always. Stephanie, we got Agree, Agrie. Wow, Agree. Oh. Martin, Joseph C. in France. Nice to see you. Mickey, Roman Mueller. He's moved away from the radiator. Wow. Okay, Roman. Oh, there it is. Teresa, nice to see you there. Vlad in Portugal, my main man. Nice to see you, Vlad. Amelia says hello, everything. We got Ben. Nice to see Ben. Thank you, brother. We got Oliver for Berlin. Always a pleasure, Oliver. Something happened. I can't get to the second page on this, but if you're on the second page, I say welcome and thanks. And we'll see some of you. We just saw Kimia came in. Nice to see Kimia. Always a pleasure. Everyone, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, John.